Chelsea open Kounde talks, Pogba rejects new deal, end of the road for United defender, Arsenal plot Abraham bid, and a transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes as I'm your host Matt Frolick. You are the One Footballers and this is the Daily News. So first up, and Chelsea have opened talks with Jules Kounde about a transfer to West London. Now, you'll probably know the name because not only is the Sevilla defender making headlines for being a brilliant defender, but also there's been quite a lot of transfer speculation surrounding him this summer. First off, Manchester United were linked with him, but of course they've decided to go for Rafa Varane. A little bit more on that later on. And then there was Tottenham, who were in talks with the club, had apparently agreed a fee, but the player did not want to move, mainly because he wants Champions League football, and that is exactly what Chelsea can offer him. After winning last season's Champions League trophy, surely it's a very attractive proposition for most players. Now, of course, with Kounde coming into the club, it means that Chelsea are going to have to let someone go, and they're not willing to pay the €80 million release clause for Kounde. So what they're going to do is throw in another defender because it gets one off their books, and it allows them to sweeten the deal a little bit and bring the overall price down for Sevilla. One of the names thrown in is Kurt Zouma. He's fallen down the pecking order at Chelsea, hasn't played a huge amount of football in the last few seasons, so maybe this could actually be a good swap. He's good enough to slot straight into the Sevilla first team, and yeah, Chelsea get another defender off their hands because they'll have one too many otherwise. If it's not going to be him, it could be Christensen or Rudiger, who are both good players but both have 1 year left on their current contracts. Alongside this, Cesar Azpilicueta also sometimes plays centre-back as well, but more of a right centre-back in a back three should Thomas Tuchel decide to employ that tactic. Anyway, when you look at this from the outside, the fact that Chelsea have got enough money to pay Sevilla and to pay Jules Kounde, and the fact that he wants Champions League football, wants to test himself in the Premier League, I'm not going to say this is a certain done deal, but it looks pretty good as. Next up then, and to Paul Pogba, and yes, this transfer saga rages on, but now we have some actual news. Well, it's coming out of France, and apparently the midfielder has rejected a new contract for Manchester United, pushing him ever closer to signing a pre-contract agreement with PSG. Now, he's got 1 year left on his deal, runs out next summer, and he can't actually talk to foreign clubs until January. Despite this though, there are rumours that his camp will be talking to PSG's camp, and they could agree a deal which would basically force Manchester United into selling him early. They don't want to lose him on a free again for the second time because they lost him on a free to Juventus back in 2012, so they're probably willing to get some money for him this summer. Think if they can get even just like 40 to 50 million for Pogba this summer, that covers all of the Rafael Varane deal. So that's actually a pretty good switch. Anyway, with him rejecting his latest contract offer, it looks like finally he and United have both given up on this relationship, and it probably suits them best for Pogba to move on. If he moves to PSG, it'll be an absolute scary thought. And in fact, talking of PSG next season, keep your eyes peeled in the next 24 hours or so for a brand new video where I discuss how PSG are going to be lining up next season. Anyway, talking of players out of Manchester United, and Phil Jones could be next as well, and he could be heading to West Ham. Now, West Ham and David Moyes, who was actually a big fan of Phil Jones when he had him under his tutelage at Manchester United, are going to be offering the 29-year-old, yes, he's still only just 29, Phil Jones, a contract which should see very basic pay, but quite a few incentives should he get himself fit and get himself into the first team. I mean, look what this deal did for Jesse Lingard. Maybe we could see Phil Jones back in the England squad by the World Cup in Qatar in 2022. Anyway, despite the fact he hasn't played for Manchester United in over 18 months, another reason he could be leaving is because Varane has joined the club. We know this, we know it's going to move Jones even further down the pecking order than thought possible before, and on top of all this, Rafael Varane is probably going to want Phil Jones' number. Now, Jones has the number 4, and it's the number that Rafael Varane wore during that successful French campaign in the 2018 World Cup. And alongside this, he's been wearing number 5 at Real Madrid, while Sergio Ramos wore number 4. But at Manchester United, the number 5 has been taken by Harry Maguire, who almost looks certain to be Rafa Varane's partner in defence. So he'll probably end up taking the number 4. It'll be yet another subtle hint to Phil Jones that he doesn't really have a future at Old Trafford, and I'm pretty certain we'll be seeing him turning out at the London Stadium very, very soon. Talking, wow, that was loud, my voice broke. Talking of London clubs, and Arsenal are plotting a bid for Tammy Abraham, but they're going to go for a loan move first. So Chelsea are trying to get rid of some of their strikers and hopefully bring in a brand new one. And one of the ones that could be through the exit door is Tammy Abraham, and they want 40 million for him. I think that's a little bit too expensive. I get he's a young English player, which is why he's got a bit more money on his head, but That seems like quite a lot of money. So what Arsenal want to do is pay the £80,000 per week wages that he is currently on at Stamford Bridge and bring him on loan for one season and then have an obligatory purchase for next summer. I'm not quite sure what this means for the likes of Alexander Lacazette or Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who are both good players on their day, but seem to be a little bit inconsistent and also are on astronomical wages for players both over the age of 30 years old. Mikel Arteta's a big fan of Tammy Abraham. He's definitely got age on his side, being, 23, I think? So this definitely could be one for the future for Arsenal. I guess having him on a loan deal means that they can offset a little bit of the money spent and move it to next summer, and on top of this, it'll give them a little bit more time to decide what to do with the likes of Lacazette and Aubameyang. Next up, and a quick round up of the rest of today's transfer news that you might have missed, and Spurs have reached an agreement with Qatar side Al Duhail for the transfer of Toby Alderweireld, the Belgian defender, for about £13 million. Elsewhere, in the next England under-21 manager is Lee Carsley. Drop a like and a comment if you remember who he is. Moving on, and Turkish side Trabzonspor want to take Michy Batshuayi on a year-long loan from Chelsea. And lastly but not least, in his press conference as new Juventus manager, back as Juventus manager, Max Allegri dropped a subtle hint that Miralem Pjanic could be rejoining the club from Barcelona. Talking, wow. So that's all from me today. Make sure you check out everything else, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.